Ladies and gentlemen, so about a month ago, I was playing around with the invade node, and we did a whole video on that. That was one of the uncollected nodes last month, which gives you, insane damage when hitting into the block. So for that video, I was playing around with kind of different ways to play to maximize hitting into the opponent's block and the time it is active, and how to trigger the opponent's block as well. And those tactics actually come really, really useful when it comes to fighting Nightcrawler and using kind of the dexterity playstyle. There is a very, very easy way to get Nightcrawler to change his stance just like that, which I haven't seen covered on YouTube. I know there are a fair few tutorial videos for kind of how to switch Nightcrawler, but I watched kind of all of them this morning, and none of them covered this specific way, so I wanted to do an updated tips and tricks guide, because there are still a lot of people that don't know about this technique to deal with Nightcrawler, and if you do know about this technique, man, he is so insanely easy to fight for the rest of time using any single champion in the game. Now, the technique is really, really straightforward, as you might have seen, so you've kind of got to think of it like Stark-Enhanced Spider-Man building up a poise charge. You want a very, very close-range dexterity, so you want to get back, you want a dex, and then the AI very often in this scenario is going to dash back. Once he's holding the block, then you've just got to throw a light attack. This is going to cause the opponent to hold block for a few seconds and stay there until he switches to his swashbuckling stance, and then it is easy game, easy life, because he cannot evade during swashbuckling, so he just becomes, a very, very easy champion to fight. But there we go, it really is as simple as that. Now let's cover that in real time. So we enter the fight here with Kamala, we're against Nightcrawler, we get an evade, close proximity, he blocks, we throw a light attack, he goes to swashbuckling, and there we go, it's converted, he can't change. What an easy method, man. Absolutely love it. So incredibly straightforward when it does work. Now, just something to be aware of is you need to pay a lot of attention to this and get the evade ideally just right, and look for scenarios, again, where he is kind of holding a bit of a solid block, because here we do mess up a little bit, as you are going to see. So he's going to dash back, we're going to throw the light attack, but I was not ready to dash back there, and he went straight for me, so unfortunately we didn't get the switch. However, we dash back there, he holds block, and we are back to swashbuckling, and we can recover the fight. I would still say that for most Nightcrawlers we end up fighting, this is by far the most reliable method that I have ever used to switch Nightcrawler's stance. It really, really helps me out for dealing with, a lot of the Nightcrawlers that we had last month in the Chill Challenges, and a couple of days on the Uncollected stream. We just had such an easy time against kind of both the Nightcrawlers in the fourth quest as well. This is definitely something to practice with, but as we showed this clip at the start of the video, once you get quite good at this, you can just absolutely roll over Nightcrawlers and just change their stance left, right, and center. Here we've gone from swashbuckling back to NAFM, and I think we're just going to ping pong a couple of times as well, just to show you that you can use this to, constantly switch the stance, so it's very, very fun. Once you do get used to it, it's just, so straightforward to get down. But again, just as a reminder, the purpose of this clip is just to kind of show how consistent this strategy can be in certain matchups, especially against unawakened Nightcrawlers, which are more difficult to fight than the awakened ones, because it's much more difficult to change their stance. So yeah, pretty cool, man, and we're going to be seeing, I imagine, quite a few more Nightcrawlers in high-tier Alliance War with the introduction of the 6-star one, so this is, quite a good tip to master, really as soon as you possibly can. Now, next up, because people might be saying this only works in Julesy and I can't get to work in the quest, just to show you, this is the 6-star Nightcrawler in Uncollected. Very, very easy changeover there with Doc Ock. Can absolutely smack this lad as well. So yeah, I've done a bit of testing, Uncollected, also Act 5. This works really, really well for dealing with all sorts of very, very fun Nightcrawlers that you're going to encounter. So yeah, it's just an absolutely great method. And also, if you're thinking of doing Road to the Labyrinth as well, there are a lot of Nightcrawlers in there, so it's probably quite a good idea that you rehearse on that. But as a standard disclaimer, you do not want to attempt Road to the Labyrinth until you've done Act 5 100%, at least in my opinion anyway. So now that we've covered this kind of tip of forcing the AI to block, I want to show you two champions that can really, really benefit from this, and also talk a little bit about Corvus. Really, Massacre, Corvus, and Sentinel are three characters that once you've got kind of this method of gameplay down, and you can do this little tip, there are some very interesting stuff that you can do with them if you want to maximize a little bit of the potential, because Massacre gains Incinerate charges while hitting into block, so it's very, very handy if you can force the opponent to block, but also firing off his special too can deal insane additional damage if the opponent is blocking. I'm going to show you a pretty cool way that we finish off this fight right here against Wolverine X-23, kind of using this dash back interval to quickly create an opportunity where X-23 is blocking, so he can nuke into a block with a really, really mega special too. So here on X-23 with Massacre, you want the Incinerates, you want the special 1 ability accuracy reduction, because both of these help reduce block proficiency even more. We're attacking into block, the bat is ignited, so we're gaining a little bit of power now, but what we want is an opportunity now where X-23 is blocking, so we dash back, we quickly dexterity, that forces her to block, then we do a couple of combos, special 2, and you can see there an insane boost to the damage. It was like 10k and 15k because she was blocking there. So yeah, just a really, really nice little tip and way that you can play that matchup if you are using Massacre by forcing the opponent to block. Just to run that play one more time, so we've got the debuffs, we've got the Incinerate, the ability accuracy reduction, so now we're generating to a special 2, a couple of hits there, close range dexterity, this causes her to dash back and block, we throw off the special 2, mega damage, and she is dead. So yeah, really, really cool way of using that function. Now, a very important thing about Sentinel, if you want to get the most out of this character and see some crazy numbers, is you need to get him to 100 analysis. Now, when you have this champion awakened, it can be fairly easy to do, but unawakened, it is an absolute nightmare unless you perfect this tactic. So it's pretty much kind of a very similar theory to what we saw in the previous fight. You want to dex in close range, so the opponent is blocking, and then attack in. You want to do a medium triple light combo and then back out. So basically just, you know, your standard 4 combo there really, but do not throw a 5th light attack or another medium, or they're going to instantly retaliate into you, and this allows you to generate analysis charges. And again, once you've reached 100, all your debuffs get doubled, your damage goes up by a ton in terms of attack, and you know, you get loads of little, you know, bits and bobs when you reach 100 analysis, but it's so important in terms of Sentinel's damage output. And as you can see here, the special 2 is just absolutely mega when you're at 100 analysis. So yeah, that's pretty much the standard tactic you want to use, is like dashing back and hitting into the block, but we're gonna look at some slightly more tricky fights, because mutants are very, very easy to get analysis charges because you get double the rate, but Cosmic is significantly more difficult because you only get half the rate, but generally speaking, you don't want to bring Sentinel against Cosmic champions. But I thought today, just to kind of show you a very clear example of how you can ramp up these charges and kind of play in a slightly longer matchup with Sentinel, we would do a bit of a Cosmic example, you know, we might as well. So let's queue up the Heimdall fight. So let's have a bit of a look at this method in action of doing a close dexterity and forcing block in a scenario where it's really, really difficult and annoying to get to 100 analysis, because instead of 8 in the previous matchup, every single blocked hit is only giving us 2, so yeah, we need a lot of blocked hits there. But also, one of the things you kind of want to get used to if you're playing Sentinel is kind of identifying when the opponent is holding a solid block, but you can see by doing these dexterities here, we are forcing Heimdall to dash back, and then very often he's holding an incredibly strong block that we can just smash into, and thus ramp up and up our analysis charges. At the moment, you can see we haven't landed a single hit yet, but we're on 54 analysis charges, so we're doing a lot of good blocked hits, man. A lot of a fair bit of damage is going through at this point in time, going up and up and up, but it really is just kind of this behavior of getting those kind of like Stark Spidey like close range dexterities, forcing him to dash back and then hitting into his block when it is solid. I think we push him to a special 1 here. Didn't quite mean to do that, I believe, in hindsight, but you know, it's one of those things that's eventually going to come, because even when you're hitting into the block, you are still generating power for the opponent. But he's got a special 1, got a bit of True Strike active, we're going for a dexterity, he dashes back, and we go in again. And I think one of the things, if you're a very keen observer, that you might have noticed, is this is actually a really good strategy to kind of gain distance in the fight as well. If that is something you often struggle with, kind of getting cornered, this is a really, really good method in order to kind of gain some distance, because making the opponent dash back and hold block is just a very, very useful thing to know. And I feel like kind of mastering mastering this technique, or I wouldn't say quite mastering yet, but getting a little bit better at it has really kind of opened up my combat a little bit more. So yeah, that's why today I wanted to go in so much detail and show you, you know, a few different uses and scenarios where this can be a very, very useful thing to do. But there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you learned a few cool tips and tricks in today's video. Again, this is kind of like how you build up the charges of Stark-Enhanced Spider-Man, and also you can use the block stuff I showed you with Sentinel and also Massacre for Corvus as well, and especially when it comes to fighting those invade nodes. So hopefully you've kind of picked up a few core skills which are going to serve you in multiple aspects of the game today. But yeah, if you did enjoy today's video, if you could do two things: smash that like button, would be greatly appreciated, and if your alliance, they need to get better at fighting Nightcrawler, if you want those alliance war deaths to go down, share this video with your alliance. Hopefully it's going to help some people out. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.